Bendis' new imprint Jinx World gets an issue 1 with Pearl, Batman might be getting his trunks back, and Luthor might have finally defeated the Justice League. Be sure to check out more by listening here. Hey guys, welcome back to this week's pull, or as Josh would always like to say,
what are we reading?
And as you can see, you've clicked on the DC and this time the independent titles for the week. And we are going to start this thing right off with Brian Michael Bendis' Pearl issue 1.
Yes, Pearl issue 1. It's with the creators of Jessica Jones, Bendis and Gatos. Did I say that right?
You did?
That's not too offensive. Hate crime?
No.
Okay.
No.
And it's following a character. It's very vague, but it's a woman named Pearl who is a tattoo artist, and she has a very distinct tattoo that not a lot of people know about. That's
Only
like
somebody with a trained eye would know who it was, the artist.
And would know who this artist is. And it starts off with a pretty big, it gets her in a lot of trouble. Let's just say that. Other than that, the story is just kind of vague. What do you feel?
This one had me a little lost, I can't lie. I felt a little lost going into this book. I felt a little lost while reading the book. I think Bendis has kind of lost his edge when it comes to writing dialogue. I feel very lost when reading the dialogue. It's like we've jumped in halfway through a conversation and doesn't flow completely naturally. But I will say the premise of the book does seem interesting. This woman, Pearl, who's got this tattoo, is also herself a tattoo artist. And she gets herself into some trouble with warring Asian gangs. And so that kind of starts to bring the story to a head, but I'm still not exactly sure where this issue is going, where the story is going, but I will say the artwork in this is absolutely gorgeous.
Yes. I mean, down to the coloring, the panel work.
Yeah, that very first page, you open it up and you're like, what the hell am I looking at? You actually kind of sit with that page for a minute and go, what am I looking at?
Yeah, it's very, I mean, the way it's shot, or not shot, but I was about to say, it's the way it's drawn is very cinematic.
It's cinematic for sure, yeah.
It kind of jumps around. And like we said, it's a pretty vague story. The coolest thing about this issue, though, is that towards the end, there's a little note from Bendis himself about him doing his first Batman title with the Walmart 100-page Batman exclusive.
Yeah.
But the thing is, a lot of people don't realize that Bendis wrote for DC a long time ago, before he was part of their writers. And it was part of this book that had a bunch of stories called Gotham Chronicles. And people started bringing that up out of the blue and the internet. And so they decided to reprint his little story, his very first little story that he did for DC.
Citizen Wayne.
Yeah, Citizen Wayne.
Yeah.
Which was very entertaining if you're someone who is familiar with Citizen Kane.
I don't think you'd get that if you hadn't seen Citizen Kane. But back to Pearl, she's definitely also a character that you think has a bit of a hidden past to her. She's got some deep secrets we haven't learned yet. I mean, she seems very good with a gun. And then Bendis actually even goes out of his way to say it's weird how people haven't connected the steady hand with a tattoo needle and the steady hand with a gun, and how similar they can be. I don't know if there's actual science behind that or not, or if there is some kind of equivalency there, but I thought that was a little on the nose for him to come out right here, like just right out and say it. But other than that, I mean, it's an interesting book. It's not something that I'm chomping at the bit to read a second issue of, but I will give it a second issue, but not what I was hoping it would be.
Yes. So with that all being said, we're not going to spend too much more time on this. We're going to unveil our rating scale. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give this book 2.75 Batman undies.
I'm going a little lower than you, 2.5 Batman undies. It's very middle of the road. It's not attention grabbing. There's some good ideas, but this is something I'd say it's a tentative pickup. If you got a light pull week this week, maybe check this out, see how you feel about it. All right, and then we're going to go on to Justice League number 6. We got Snyder and Jimenez back, unfortunately, because I really enjoyed Tynion on the last issue. And on this one, it seems that the villains are finally going to win. You know, they've finally hatched this master plan. Joker and Luthor and Cheetah and Manta and Grodd, all these guys they're going to win. They're finally going to beat the Justice League in the most bullshit way possible, which is apparently the Justice League are like avatars. 7 avatars for like 7 forces of nature that have existed since the beginning of the multiverse, and they have finally unlocked the opposites of those forces. Bullshit. It's so stupid, so contrived. I'm so pissed off because I was like, you know what? All right, I really dug the last issue. I'm going into this one thinking this is going to be good, And I'm sorry, but I found it fucking stupid again. I'm not happy with this. Batman, what happened to Snyder, dude? He wrote such a fantastic New 52 run on Batman, and the dialogue for Batman in this is garbage.
Yeah.
How did you feel? I'm sorry, I don't want to go on a hate tirade.
There's only one thing
Cue that thumbs down from whoever keeps giving these DC ones a thumbs down.
The only thing that was really good in this book that I really enjoyed is there's a dialogue from Luthor when he's fighting Batman, saying you're a child guided by nightmares. I'm a man guided by dreams.
Yeah, that was the only good line in this book.
I hate the fact that it was wasted in this book.
Right.
I feel like this book is a storyline created from like some fanfic from a 10-year-old. And Snyder just sprinkles some complicated words and little concepts here and there
that
a 10-year-old wouldn't be able to. But like the idea of Luthor and Joker being in the bloodstream, controlling Manhunter and Superman, and it's like, and then you have a fight scene going on inside the bloodstream.
But the thing is, they're like so small that they're not drowning in blood. So they're so small they're in between blood cells.
It just looks like they're just fighting on some kind of weird mountain or something. It doesn't make sense.
No,
it seems like something that a kid would come up with.
Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Snyder thought, oh my God, there is an antithesis between Batman and Lex Luthor. The way I always say that Doom should have been an Iron Man villain, in his mind I think he thinks Luthor should have always been a Batman villain. You know, like brains against brains. But what this book basically is the Justice League Doom animated movie, but for the villains. So Luthor is Batman in that movie, and the villains are the Justice League. That's what this movie is. It's the villains have concocted this ultra secret plan that's gonna take out each one of these members, and it's not good. It's so not good. I was torn because there were parts of it I was like, okay, it's getting on track. This is where I think it's going to be going here. It's going to be good from here, and then bam, it drops off. Best part about this is Batman just gets wrecked. I mean, he gets messed up in this book.
How do you feel about the Flashmobile?
The Flashmobile is stupid, and I also
pointless. I don't even know why it's around.
I also hated Sinestro admitting that Jon Stewart could be the most powerful Lantern of all time. You know, Sinestro would never do that.
This is one of those moments that Dallas would be like, "Yeah, I agree with Sinestro."
Yeah, sorry Dallas, you're not here today.
Yeah, you can't defend yourself.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and grade this one. This Justice League issue 6. I'm giving it 1.5 Batman Undies. This is not a book I would recommend picking up if you haven't been picking up this series already, and it's not something that's gonna pull you in.
I'm right there with you. 1.5 Batman Undies. The only thing that I would suggest picking it up is the artwork is good.
Jimenez is doing a good.
He's
for the most
job.
part. There are some panels that.
And then also they have the character profile variants by Jim Lee. I mean, those are those are pretty killer covers.
This week is Jon Stewart. Last issue was Cyborg. Issue before that was Hawk Woman.
Yeah, I mean that's the only thing that's really saving this book for me. As a matter of fact, like right when you first open up the book and you see Joker's face, I dig it. I mean, but that's the only thing saving it.
Give me an Aquaman cover. All right, we're gonna move on to the Magic Order issue 3 by Mark Millar and Oliver Copiel. My favorite issue. I'm going to come right out and say my favorite issue this week so far for this episode is this. As we, you know, if you guys have been checking out our episodes consistently, you know we've reviewed the first 2 issues, and this one just gets better and better, man. Like, it's just getting darker, it's getting more fucked up, it's getting more sinister, it's getting a richer history to everything that's been going on. Like, the Magic Order has existed for, you know, hundreds and hundreds of years, or if not thousands, and the way they kind of operate in secret in our everyday lives, I'm digging that. But man, the villains in this, I'm loving it. And I'm loving the villains' motivation in this. That's what I'm really digging. It's not this, I want to take over the world and fuck everybody. It's just like, I'm going to prove a point. That's it. I'm here to prove a point. And I'm going to go back to my regular life once I do it. That is so good, and it's so fucking refreshing.
Let's be honest. The only reason why you really like this book is because of all the naked women on the cover.
I mean, it doesn't hurt it either.
It doesn't. It makes you want to, you know, go, well, maybe I do collect. I mean,
but look how tasteful that black and white image is up there too. You know.
Yeah, yeah. It's very tasteful. It's very classy.
Yeah, but what do you think about the book?
I've been digging this series. I'm not as into it as you are, but as comic book readers, me and you have different tastes.
Right.
But it is good. It's like a darker kind of Harry Potter, but
I think the way I described it was Harry Potter meets Kick-Ass. You know,
I would say like something more, you know, more agent-like. You know, because it kind of
Secret Service maybe or something.
Yeah, like a Secret Service mixed with Harry Potter.
I can deal.
Yeah. But no, it is good, and this does further on the background of the story. If you are a person who is really liking this book so far, this is, it's still going consistent with how good it is.
Right, and here's the thing too, what I would say about this book, I think you could actually pick this book up and not really need issue 1 and 2. I think those would be really good and helpful, but I think you could pick this issue up and not feel too lost as to what's going on. Or what's happening. And I gotta say, man, I gotta commend Oliver Copiel's art in this book. I mean, as we were reading, I was talking to you, this guy can just capture so much emotion in these panels. He just does a great job of getting those subtle little details, the subtle nuances of somebody's expressions in this book. And he's got some great panels in this. And it can't be understated how much his art helps the story along in this book.
Yes. I mean, he does a really good job on just about anything, if you think about it, not just like on the emotions on the face, but like you could literally not have talk bubbles in some stories. Granted, Millar's writing does help the story, progress and make it more in depth, but his artwork alone could tell a story. I mean, there's actually a couple of panels where it's left all too suggestive, kind of like suggestive.
It's a show, don't tell. You're seeing the story instead of hearing the story play out.
Yeah, so his artwork definitely does tell the story.
The character design for this villain, it's like the Phantom of the Opera kind of meets this pirate Venetian garb. It's really, really cool. I'm really digging that look.
It's like a Phantom of the Opera meets V.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. I really hope one day I see somebody cosplaying as this character because I think it could look so good.
And it would be an easy one, too.
It would. It would look so good. But anyway, I think, guys, this is a great issue. If you're not picking up Magic Order, one thing that might prompt you to want to is actually it's the very first comic book Netflix has ever produced. So if you're ever looking for something like, hey, maybe Netflix gets big in the comic industry one day, here's the very first series. But anyway, I'm going to go on. I'm going to give this thing 3.75 Batman undies.
I'm at 2.75.
Oh, wow. Okay, so there's quite a chasm there between the two of us.
You said 3 what?
3.75.
Oh, 3.75? Yeah, I give it about 2.75. It's good. For me, I really just more enjoy just looking at the artwork in it.
I also like the fact that it feels like it could still be taking place in our world. You know what I mean? Like the reason us normal citizens don't see what's going on, it's explained.
Yeah.
So I like that.
No, I definitely, it's a good book. I mean, I'm not disliking it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so the other book that we read was Batman 53.
Right, and if you checked out our San Diego Comic-Con episode, we talked about all the announcements. This is one of the issues we talked about where Batman is finally getting himself his old costume back.
Yes. Yeah, spoiler alert. Granted, it kind of says it on the cover.
And we already spoiled it.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. So
Batman undies. But also in this book, we're continuing off of Bruce Wayne being on the jury to find Mr. Freeze guilty or not guilty of murder. And he is pretty much just bashing on the idea of Batman and also comparing him to God, which is kind of weird.
It was an interesting choice, and I gotta say, Tom King got very existential in this book. It was very much questioning the idea and the presence of a higher power, of a higher being, an omnipotent, omniscient being, and then do we translate that to Batman? He starts talking about how, who here is alive because of Batman right now? Who here would be dead if it wasn't for Batman's interference? And you can almost go, holy shit, there is a godlike component to Batman, but it also feels like Tom King kind of poking at the idea of DC's characters all being gods, whereas Marvel's like humans trying to be gods, where gods trying to be human in DC. I liked that. I really did.
Yeah, and so Tom King, man, if you guys listen to us from when we first started, we used to really bash on Tom King. And lately, I don't know what it is with us, but we kind of been enjoying Tom King lately. The last issue of Mr. Miracle, the last issue of Batman. And I actually think that translates over to this issue. I really enjoyed this issue.
I liked this issue. And I think part of it, sorry, I'm real quick, but I think part of it is just the fact that now he's got the whole wedding bullshit out of the way. He doesn't have to build up to it anymore. I feel like maybe he feels a little more freer to tell his stories, and maybe that's what it is.
The one thing I really enjoy about this is he's hitting onto the humanity of Batman, but also the other thing is instead of spending an issue of having showing Batman be depressed, showing Batman be angry about the wedding failing, he just makes it very subtle. He says a lot without having to say a whole lot.
Right.
And he spends 3 issues kind of just exploring this idea, but without boring you. It's like as if he's like, I'm not going to bore you guys with this wedding anymore. You guys are already pissed off about it, so I'm just going to make it really subtle, and I like it. And you understand why these the cold days, the storyline actually fits in with the wedding. And I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think
Weeks' artwork in it is
I was gonna
great.
say you got to address Lee Week's artwork a bit. I mean, he does a great job here. It feels much more
yeah.
like a traditional Batman tale. What I got to say though is that I really like the idea that Bruce Wayne is almost so fed up with Batman himself. He's trying to dissuade the public from seeing Batman as this good, infallible character. Like this not godlike being, but this guy who can do no wrong, always trust his judgment, never question it because he's done so much good. He is a human being and he's gonna make mistakes. And it's kind of Batman. Yeah, he's trying to persuade the jury he's talking to, but at the same time you can tell he's trying to persuade himself. Batman can't always be right. He's gonna make mistakes, and I have to come to terms with the fact that I, as Batman, will fuck up. I will make mistakes. I can't be all good, and I can't keep using Batman as this like visage to run away from all my problems anymore, because I've been doing this since my parents were shot. I've been using Batman as a means to run away.
Scapegoat.
Yeah, so I think Tom King is hitting on some really good fundamental ideas of Batman that we don't see highlighted a lot in a lot of Batman stories, and I think that's smart of him to do.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing, too, is, like, you gotta think, man, he would probably really hate Batman right now, because Batman is the reason why he's not married to Catwoman. The idea of Batman not being able to be Batman if he's happy, they're like...
But at the same time, the counter argument is would he even be alive if it weren't for Batman?
Exactly.
He might be dead, suicide, whatever, if he hadn't conjured up this idea of Batman.
It's therapy, like you being able to rant about Snyder's writing.
Whatever. It's just, I think there's a really good give and take here. It's like there is no clear-cut right answer, right and wrong to Batman. It's just you got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah. So with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and put my rating out there. 3.5 Batman Undies.
I am right there with you, man. 3.5 Batman Undies. I got to say, I also love that last panel.
Yeah, good job, Tom King. You have turned
two
Tom King haters into...
Totally redeemed yourself.
Yeah, you totally redeemed yourself. Okay, so just a kind of quick little follow-up. Me and Jake did read 2 separate books that are from independent publishers. I read Gideon Falls number 6, as you guys have been listening. I really enjoyed this series. It's still kind of eerie. The one thing that really sucks, this issue is really trippy too. Like, it's just like, I feel like this issue would be a good issue to read or just look at while you're like on acid. I mean, it's just a really good one.
Coming from a guy who's never taken acid.
I know, right? That's what I'm saying.
Or dropped acid.
Or dropped the acid. Yeah. I never dropped the acid before. But it's a good story. If you're looking forward to continuing reading it after this issue, you have to wait until October, because there is going to be a little hiatus on it.
Yeah.
But I give this book, and so far, because this is the end of book 1. Okay, for this issue number 6, I'm going to give it like 3 Batman Undies. But for this whole first volume of Gideon Falls, I'm going to give it a solid 4.5.
Wow.
Yeah,
high praise.
4.5 Batman Undies for this whole first volume.
All right, high praise. The last thing I read was from Boom Studios, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 30, all through the Shattered Grid stuff, and basically this is just a Power Ranger fan's wet dream. This is every different Power Ranger team coming together to take on Lord Draken, which is like another universe's version of the Green Ranger.
Is Ivan Ooze in it?
No. And then basically Zordon has to ask Rita Repulsa for help, and they're actually teaming up to take on Lord Draken, which is pretty cool. Seeing all the different Megazords and all them working together is pretty sweet. There's some good action, some good like rally, battle cry, anthems kind of thing. It's fun. It's not my favorite thing. It looks like this thing's gonna be wrapping up here shortly, though. Shattered Grid for the most part. It's been a fun little ride if you're a Power Rangers fan. I can't follow too well because after Mighty Morphin I didn't read or watch Power Rangers, but I'll give this one 2.7. Just 2.7.
Whoa, bro. You're saying you never watched...
Batman Undies.
Ooh. You're trying to say that you never watched Power Rangers in Space?
No.
Turbo Power Rangers?
Nope.
Power Rangers Zeo?
Nope. You're starting to name shit I didn't even know existed.
Power Rangers Samurai?
No.
Mystic Force Power Rangers?
All right, guys. Well, that is all we have for you this week. We really appreciate you listening. We definitely want to know what you've been reading, so definitely comment below. Let us know what you're reading. Let us know your thoughts on any of these books. We're happy to get these things out early to you, so we hope you appreciate that. We've definitely been appreciating all the support we've been getting. We've been getting some good traffic. We've been getting comments and likes and some more subscribers, so we really want to thank you for that. And
if you guys want to hear our opinions on a certain book that you really enjoyed or you're questionable out, just go ahead and put it down in the comments. We'll read it and we'll give you our opinions on it.
Yeah, and we're actually thinking about doing something where here soon we're all going to read the same graphic novel or series and do an overall review of that series. So if there's something you guys want to hear us talk about, dissect a little bit, let us know. But we really appreciate it, guys. Definitely share this with any of your comic book reading friends so you can, refer them to any series, or if you need something to, make your argument, say, hey, look, these guys like this series too. You should check it out. Definitely link this to them, and we really appreciate it, guys. Check out the channel. We should also have the Marvel one up for this week. And if you've already listened to that, we will see you next week. Take care.